And we're back with another episode with Latara and Chris. Let's get into it.
First starting live, I was trying to give y'all a little interlude because I knew that I was going to go get this cocoa. Okay. But, you know, I guess Facebook had it in for me. They was really watching me. So anyways, how are you, Chris?
I'm good. I'm good. God is good.
God is
He said
good.
Christ is still on the throne, so all is well.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Hello, Chris Bolts. So anybody who hops on, thank you guys for joining us tonight. We're going to be talking about trust issues. I'm already a little convicted in my spirit. And so, you know, we're going to keep our emotional intelligence in check. But yeah, so stay tuned, stay with us. Be sure to share the live. The purpose of the podcast is so we can kind of cultivate this safe space for taboo topics or to speak on things in relationship things that maybe go undressed and unhealed. All right, so we're here for healing, and I hope that anybody who hops on receives that. And of course, if you receive something from this, if you find value, please be sure to like, share, and comment. Dialogue with us in the comments as well. Send us some stars to support, because we are trying to make this big and grand. Okay, if I had to throw it out the park, I'd say that we want to be the #1 godly relationship podcast in America. And now I'm just playing, not America, nationwide. I mean, not just nationwide, internationally. Okay, let me broaden the scope. And so yeah, make sure y'all share, send us some stars, and dialogue with us, because we're not just doing this for ourselves, we're here for you. So let's talk, Chris. I'm pumped a little bit because I just got out the shower, and showers just do something for me. I don't know about it. I don't understand how people are able to, you know what I'm saying, not take showers. I don't understand how they don't like water. You know, I just don't understand. It just makes me a whole nother person. So I'm feeling moisturized.
I dig. Well, I'm just getting out the pulpit, so I didn't get my daily. I usually get a nap. I ain't got my nap, but I'm persevering. I'm going through.
You don't need that nap.
I don't
take that
need
nap.
it. I don't, but I'm getting old, man. Out them little naps, man.
Man, words are powerful. You got to be careful what you speak over your life.
What's that? About to getting old?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's every day. Is what I ain't getting younger.
But you're not. I'm not gonna argue with you. I'm just saying, words are powerful. You can speak youth over your life. You can speak youth over your
I didn't say
body.
I was an old man. I just said I'm getting older. I'm getting older. Okay, older. Every day I'm getting older.
I'm getting wiser. I'm not getting older.
Oh, okay. Well, you go on ahead with your bad self. You go on ahead. So what's the deal? What's up? Why are you so convicted about trust issues? What's up? What's going on? But I think you're not the only one. There's a lot of us, I believe. I think all of us have trust issues.
Well, so I'm going to go to my notes, because me and God were literally just having this conversation, and maybe this is TMI, but I'm past the fasting stage, but I just came off of a fast because I was having these trust issues with God. And so I don't know, if any of the people watching, any of you guys watching have like a fasting practice or even like, what do we call them? I hear the term so often, they call them the secret place. Right. So the secret place for me typically is in fasting. And anytime I'm experiencing confusion or, just feeling some sense of insecurity, especially when God is reiterating a word for me that I feel like I'm walking into, but in the same respect, I feel like he's reiterating that word for a greater purpose. Like, I'm seeing it, but not the way God is seeing it. You know what I'm saying? Not on the stage level, the scope, the compass that God is seeing it. And so he's just been convicting me about not believing for bigger. And so that's where my trust issues have been coming into play. So yeah, we were just talking about this these past couple of days during my fast. Because hello to all you guys who are hopping on. We're talking about trust issues. Feel free to comment, you know what I'm saying, add something to the conversation. But yeah, so Lord Jesus, vulnerable, right? We're vulnerable here. I was thinking about just not even doing the podcast today, a couple of days ago. I just felt like God, I don't know why you've called me to do this with this person per se. And I say this person as to say like this female male dynamic. This isn't something I was just like, yeah, you know, I'm going to come up with a podcast and it's going to be me and a guy. Like, no, obviously I was listening to my audience, but all my audience did was reiterate what God had already told me. So, yeah, I was just going to him because he was expressing to me about the wild grapes. Like I'm trying to tell you guys, but not in so many, not overtell, not overshare. So just bear with me as I get my wording together. And the wild grapes being the purpose for the podcast, because again, like, we're talking about relationships, right? That's one thing. But I'm a single person. You understand? So it's like, God, you want me to do this podcast on relationships and I'm a single person. Not only do you want me to do this podcast about relationships, you keep on bringing me to verses in scripture showing me that I'm a wife. Right. And so I'm speaking about, you know, this image of a wife and, you know, just this, what she's supposed to stand for. And I didn't want to be that creep of a person that's my focal point, that's all that I talk about is relationships, that's all that I talk about is a wife and marriage. And like, there's so much more to life than just marriage. There's so much more to life than just romantic relationships. And quite honestly, when I'm on TikTok and I see those kingdom spouse messages, I'm surely scrolling on. I'm just like, these people, you know what I'm saying? Like they're so
it was redundant. A lot of the time they're saying the same thing over and over and over
again. And you want to know what's crazy is like, if you really pay attention, you'll see the same people feeding off different people's pages, feeding on that same message. And it's like, it's desperate. It's like, for me, I feel like it's a false doctrine because everything is it's idolizing the relationship. And it's not necessarily teaching the women what it is, what it means to be a wife. It's just like, yeah, your kingdom spouse is coming, and it's always these messages. And so God is like, he's been talking to me about being a wife. And what I mean by that is these wild grapes, the women who are called by a different name other than their name, and therefore they don't know their identity. And how even at one point that was my own narrative. And so I was kind of struggling with that because again, like, you're talking to me, God, you're talking to me consistently, like, you won't let me get past this. You won't, and I say get past this, but really you won't let me do this my way. You won't let me do it my way. You keep bringing me back to this same narrative, and I don't want to be that creep. Because I do have a life outside of talking about relationships. I do have a life outside of talking about marriage. And then God just kind of convicted me about that as well. Like, but I put you here for relationships. You know, like that's the wealth of life is in your relationships. So what, you know, just so we went down this whole spiel. So let's just talk about get to the trust issue part. I was feeling as if, again, where are my credentials? Where is my external validation? How am I gonna tell a woman to be a wife for marriage and I'm a wife but I'm not yet married? Like, I know the way society thinks, and what they there. The proof is in the pudding. You got to show me. I need to see your testimony, and I'm not there yet. So what do you want me to do? I was literally just screaming that. What do you want me to do? Like, I have my fitness, I have my blog, I have all these things that I say prepared me, how God has nurtured me, how God has poured into me. And so I felt like I'm doing that part. You get what I'm saying? I'm doing that part, but I don't know what else you want me to do. So just for these past couple of days, the scripture has been nothing but that. Hey, Chris, the scripture is nothing. It's in different books. He keeps bringing me back to the same thing. And so I'm just like, okay, well, you know, what do I do? Do I just talk about, I don't know if I'm just supposed to talk about being a wife. I don't know. God, I'm just going to let God do his thing. I don't know.
Well, so
that was a trust issue. I felt like, if anything, he was saying I was looking at things too small on in one sense, because it's as if, like, I'm saying that the people have to qualify me, that a title has to qualify me, like just like he told me, you were a writer before you ever wrote a book. You know, you're a wife before you're ever married. These are things that you have to, I planted those seeds in you before you were ever here, and you're doubting what I've given you because of what it looks like right now. You're not allowing things to process. So that's just a snippet. Long wind.
Well,
snippet.
I'll say this. I think one of our main issues is a lot of times we make a lot of stuff about us.
That was the conviction.
So like even with like what you're saying, that's why a lot of times we have so many trust issues, is because of the fact that everything is really about us. You know, which is, I think, is part of our humanity. Even in our attempts to be selfless, we oftentimes struggle with being selfish, right? Like if I open the door for you and you don't say thank you, my flesh rises and I get upset. And the first thing I say, well, I ain't open the door for her no more. Or I ain't open the door for this person no more. Or, you know, if I do something for someone, I have to broadcast it. I have to let people know, like, because you want that external validation of, look at me and look at what I'm doing for someone. It's a, you know, and so then even with the fact of, like, wow, I was just telling the ministers just now, like at my first message that I preached, I was telling them, because we was just talking about being nervous speaking, and I was saying how nervous I was when I first spoke here at Peace Lutheran, but then I was talking about, but I wasn't as nervous as when I spoke my first message back in 2020, and I was asking myself literally what you were saying, right? And like literally that started to create and plant seeds of doubt, because when I start telling everybody, hey, I'm preaching my first message in November, it was like so much attention. Like people started coming out of nowhere. People started calling me. People was coming from out of town, friends, like, and I was like, man, like, why? Like, why me? You know, like, why this much attention for me? Like, who am I? Like, I'm not nobody. I don't even know, you know, how good I am or whatever the case was. And in all honesty, it almost made me abort the mission. I almost aborted it. And I remember I had a friend that had called me, and he was going through some stuff, and he was talking suicide, and it's crazy. He lives nowhere near me, but I happened to be somewhere that was halfway to him when he called me. And when he called me, I just started driving his way. I really didn't know where he lived, but I knew the town that he lived in. And so I just kept him on the phone, and I started driving his way. And when I drove his way and I got there and I started talking with him, and when I started talking with him, we was in Whataburger parking lot. I started talking with him, And as he was telling me about the stuff that he had done and had been going on, God started showing me in what he had going on. Now, mind you, what he had going on was nothing like what I was going on, but I was struggling with the same thing he was struggling with naturally. I was struggling with spiritually. And I was like, wow, like God, like opened up my eyes. I don't want to go into details in this testimony, but not publicly, but because it was pretty deep. But I found myself that night recharged me because I found myself in a position of servitude to where I had no real answers for this man. I didn't have nothing but prayer. That's all I had. I didn't have nothing else but prayer. And so by me having nothing but prayer, it forced me to remove myself, right? And all of how good of a person I think I'm supposed to be worthy of this and worthy of that. And I removed myself because I didn't have nothing else to offer him but prayer and a Whataburger meal that he didn't want. Like, and I just remember that night just praying with him and listening and just praying with him. And, you know, and our relationship has been so much stronger. I don't know if everything has restored, but I know he's still here. And because of it, I had to realize, like, and he pretty much told me at the end of it all, this is not about you. Yeah, I'm using you, but this is not about you. And so, and I think that's why a lot of our trust issues come in, that because of the fact that we make it about us.
Yep.
So even with trusting another individual, trusting someone else, even trusting God, oftentimes what causes us to not be able to trust, to fully trust. And I know with me, it's because it's about me. Like when it's about me and about what I can, or this and that. And at the same time, I'm very aware of who I am, and you know, but yeah, it causes me to have trust issues because I think about the verse that says, "Put no trust in no man but God." So in all honesty, the only thing that I'm really trusting in an individual is their commitment to God.
Or
that's all I can
God
really
is with
trust.
them. Or that God is within them.
Right. That's what I'm saying. I don't have nothing else to trust.
Yeah.
You know, like I don't, yeah. And so I personally don't. And I think it gets hard sometimes dealing with, because then once people show me who they are, I trust them to be just that.
Yeah.
And even though I have so many friends, big family, bunch of friends in all different areas of circle, and I love them all. I deal with them all, but it's certain ones that I'll trust with my car, but I wouldn't trust them with my old lady. If I had a girl, yeah, I wouldn't trust them with my wife. Then there's ones that I'll trust with my wife that I probably wouldn't trust with my money. Yeah. You know, if I had it, you know, like I would, like, it's just, I trust people to be exactly who they are, especially once they show me who they are. Yeah. And I think sometimes, I don't know if that's discernment or if it's fear. And you kind of struggle in that middle of trying to see whether it's you're operating or walking in fear, or is it discernment?
Yeah. I mean, I like to contribute it to discernment, because at that level, you're trusting strengths and weaknesses, right? Like I'd be a fool. So I don't necessarily see that as fear, because somebody has shown you, hello guys, somebody has shown you who they are. I feel like it's different when you just don't trust nobody for nothing. You know what I'm saying? They've not shown you, you've not even given them the opportunity to even prove themselves or for you to know their character. But if someone has shown you who they are, I feel like that's totally different. That's wise. But
then, and true, I don't disagree. But then sometimes we start making assumptions or justifications based off of what sometimes we think somebody has shown us as well. Because oftentimes, it's just be honest, a lot of us miss. I think we talked about Samuel last week, when he almost gave the kingdom to David. I mean, not David, to David's brother. And so sometimes we'll miss and we'll think we see something that we really don't see. And then when we miss, does that always lead us to trust more in God or less? You know what I'm saying? Because now you questioning whether you hear from God or not.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like, and again, I'm just speaking rhetorically, hypothetically speaking. I mean, and if we're talking about just trust issues in general,
Yeah, we talk about trust issues.
We all struggle with it, but speaking to something that's very relevant for me right now, right? Like God has me really on this, because if y'all don't know, I know y'all been around for a while, and I keep, I'll bring it up just in case there are new people here that do not really know me or have not been following my journey. But I was just in a wilderness where, God isolated me from everybody. So one of the first things I told Chris was like, yeah, I want to like get more acclimated to bonding with people, because I have been so removed from people, from relationships. And even during the time when he did have me in, say, isolation, one of the things that he was teaching me was discernment. So I was able to see the spirits on people. I was able to discern the spirit. And that's a very scary thing, to be able to discern the spirit that someone is operating out of, and then for God to put you back into those environments and or introduce you to, people that may be from your past, or just people in general who may still be like, he's testing to see if your discernment is really on key. And if you do in fact struggle, who are you going to? Are you relying on your own say knowledge? Are you relying on the last word he gave you, or are you relying on the current situation? Because I'll be honest, one thing that I feel like God has also done in the interim, right, while I was going through my process, I felt like the people that my immediate people were also going through a process as well. So the spirits that I may have been seeing then, I may not be seeing now, because just the same way God was cleansing me, he was using me to cleanse them. So coming back into those environments, it's like, at first it was a struggle for me, because I'm like, God, you've already shown me some things. I don't know if I can trust myself in these environments. I don't know if I'll feel safe in these environments. And so it kind of made me want to stay isolated. And I'll give you your flowers, Chris, because you always bring up how the enemy wants to keep us isolated, and how, that itself is very detrimental to kingdom building, to community, and so on and so forth. So where I may want to pull back because I'm stuck at that point in what God showed me a year ago, he's helping me to come to him before I make big or small decisions, so I can be in a right now word. Right. So even when I said about how I was really thinking like, I don't know if I really want to continue doing this podcast, and it's not even to say continue doing it, but like, it was really It was a struggle for me for today. If you would have asked me Monday how I was feeling, I probably would have been like, I just don't know, buddy. I just don't know. And God was just like, so are you questioning the word that I gave you then? And if you are, then you need to come to me now for a right now word. So yeah, I feel like when we're operating or asking for discernment, or just asking in terms of relationships and trusting others, we have to be willing to rely on God at the right now. Like, we can't be so eager to go on the word that he gave us last year or whatever, because we don't know if he wasn't working on them while he was working on us. But yeah, I mean, I think it's natural.
Well, if it says that he's the same yesterday, today, and forevermore, it said that if his word go out, it should never come back void. So whether he said it last month or right now, I personally believe, I just think sometimes we hear it wrong, if that makes sense. I think sometimes we think we heard it one way, but that's not always the case, because a lot of times we're distracted. Like, because I heard someone say that, like with a woman, they said, if a woman likes you, you don't have to lie to her. She'll lie herself.
That's true, though.
Like, you know, like they say a woman will lie to herself about you. So there's no reason for you to lie to her when she like you. And that was like, wow, you know what I'm saying?
Mind blown.
Like how our minds work, because when we desired, my page got hacked. And when my page got hacked, the dude was using these little cute puppies, getting money from people. And I'm like, it's crazy how when you want something bad enough, this is a foreign dude talking like, knowing these people know me. Well, I ain't gonna say that like know me like close friends, but they've been around me long enough to like, I'm like, I don't talk like that. But oh, he said puppy just died. That's crazy. I'm sorry to hear that, man. But he was selling puppies, and I'm like, I don't even talk like that or sound like that, and having them send money to these crazy cash apps. But because they wanted something so bad, they thought that they were talking to the real me.
Or maybe because they trusted you.
And so what I'm saying is yes, because they trusted me. But the thing is, if you to trust me and not be able to recognize like how I talk, if that makes sense, you know, now at the same time, how he hacked my page was through somebody that I trusted. Just being honest, that's how he hacked my page. And so I'm just saying how our minds work. The fact that when you want something so bad that you can be thinking that you hear from God. And I believe that's why a lot of people chase prophecies, right? Because they're waiting to, in most prophets and prophecies, the Bible even says that he'll send you deception if you have itching ears for a lie. And so I think a lot of us get caught off into what we want so bad that we hear, that we'll start lying to ourselves.
Yeah.
So if we're, yeah, and so once you start lying to yourself, you'll tell yourself that you heard from God because that's what you want to believe you heard from.
Yeah, okay. So but let me add to that though. When are we going to our maker to make sure that we did hear? Like that's what I mean when I say, for me, getting into the secret place was like, okay, God, I know that I'm dealing with some things and something is coming, you know what I'm saying, to provoke me, to cause me to stir. So it's just me and you, right? Like when you talk about distractions and things of that nature, I cut it, and it's just me and God. So I feel like that's what I mean when I say he can say one thing then and give you a now word if you're willing to come to him and trust that what he's saying, you know what I'm saying? And even when I say a right now word, the fact of the matter is what he told me then is the same thing he told me now. You know what I'm saying? The fact of the matter is the word didn't necessarily change. He just told me that I was looking at it incorrectly.
Right. And that and I believe a lot of times, I truly believe that happens a lot, you know, because we want something so bad. You see something that you desire, you see someone that you want, you see something that you want, and you believe that that is God telling you that that is yours. That's mine. Look, this has to be anointed by God. This has to be God's anointing. When the whole time, what you're looking at is based off of the outer appearance, but what God said, like he told Samuel, don't judge the outer appearance, but judge the heart. And the whole time, what you're looking for is out with the sheep, but it's outside of the house. You know what I'm saying? And so when God leads you to the house, but yet what he led you to the house for, you still got to wait for that to walk in the house, because you thought as soon as you walked in the house, you were going to see and get exactly what you thought God had sent you there for. And so it's
a mind F, if I'm honest with you. It's a mind F. I'm using clean language.
I know what you mean.
Because this is my thing, right? and this goes back to selfishness, because in all honesty, like you said earlier, whenever we're experiencing any type of trust issues, it is because we're tunnel vision, and it's more so about serving self than say serving others in that time. Like we're guarded, if I will. The better word is to say guarded, because whether or not, right, like saying that I'm going to God and I'm like, oh yeah, this is supposed to be the person that I'm doing this with, this is the person I'm supposed to marry, that's not necessarily was my mindset. My mindset was still selfish, though. Let's be very honest, okay? My mindset was still, God, you have me professing this thing, you know, and I don't yet have this, say, title, that external validation. So that's the selfish aspect of it. When I'm saying all that, hey guys, I'm seeing the names pop up. Thank you guys for hopping on, like, share, comment, dialogue with us. But yeah, so lost my train of thought. I lost my train of thought.
You trying to talk to the people. You trying to please them. But nah, I'm just playing with you.
And that's really what it is. No, but I'm just saying, but that's for real though. That's real.
No,
when I went to, that's what I was saying.
Yeah.
When I went to him, I was like, God, you know, you're telling me this, and you keep bringing me to this. You won't let me forget. And when I say like it's constant, it's almost as if I'm on TikTok and all the kingdom spouse messages is just going, and I'm like, it's like you're loud. What is it that you're wanting me to hear, or that I'm not already doing? That's what I started judging myself, like, okay, God, what is it I'm not doing? Because you keep on reiterating this same word.
But so why are you taking it as judgment versus maybe it's just a constant install, like as far as watering the word that he's already planted in you? Because I
mean, that's a great way to see it. I mean, I ain't lying, you know, that, hey, enlighten your girl.
The thing is, just because you learn something don't mean that you know something. Like it doesn't mean that, okay, you have this level of knowledge on something. You have this level of, let's say, understanding on something. But if God is calling you to greater, then he's going to keep, because this is another thing. I feel like we can learn something from anyone. So like the post that you made earlier about how a lot of times we miss our revelations only listening to one genre of music, right? And so sometimes there might be a season where God don't want you to listen to nothing else but maybe, let's say, gospel or whatever the case is. But then there's other seasons where he might be leading you to be able to listen to other stuff because he wants you to be able to stay relevant, right?
And talk to others.
To where you staying current, where your revelations are current with where people can understand, because the people that you're going to, this is what they're listening to. So sometimes you have to be able to utilize what it is they're listening to, or and what they have going on, to be able to be revelatory for what God is trying to use you for, what he has going on.
Right.
It's the same thing with relationships. So right, regardless as redundant as some of them sound, and I don't like, I listen to a lot of these different people and different, you know, and the thing is, this is the thing. I listen to all of them when I have the opportunity, or I feel like listening to them, because it's the thing. It don't matter who it is. They all gonna give something that I might need at some point in some time. Because just because this works for you, it's not a guarantee that it'll work for me. I heard this one pastor and wife couple, and they talked about not having friends of the opposite sex. They've been together for X amount of years. I think they've been together for like 30 years or whatever the case. That works for them. I'm not mad at them at all. If that works for y'all, she's like, oh no, we don't do that. He like, yeah, I don't, why do I need, why? And I'm like, and that works for y'all. They're prominent pastors. They who they are. No issue, no problem at all. What does that have to do with me? Because that's never going to work for me. It never will, because for me, it's not even biblical or spiritual. It's more so me pretty much saying that I don't have, I'm just going to say it like it is, I don't have any dick control to be able to abstain myself away from any woman that I get close to. And so then, same thing with, even if it's the woman, right? And she said, well, it's not you I don't trust her. But even if it's her, she still has to seduce me to get me to do so.
Right.
So that's never going to work for me, because for me, if I consider someone a friend, I ain't crossing that line. As far as like homegirls that I consider like real friends. I'm not talking about random girls that I just met somewhere and all of a sudden I'm calling. I'm talking about like my people, like my dogs. You know what I'm saying? That's what I'm talking about.
That goes on a tangent, and we'll talk about that another time, though. But
they can, and yeah, maybe so. But at the same time, we can talk about it tonight, because we talk about trust issues, and that is. But it's part of it, because one of the things is, why is it that you cannot trust your spouse around someone of the opposite sex?
All right, can I say now?
Okay, go ahead.
So, there's something that comes to mind when I do think about like these friendships of, say, the opposite sex. What if I'm still friends with my ex? What if that's the homie, right? And you and I kind of had touched on this a little bit, where, that may be that may be my ex, and it's a small town stuff, right? So that may be my ex, but she's moved on. She's with one of my other homies. We don't even look at each other that way, blah, 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 blah. My question is, how comfortable would that be for all parties involved, being in the same environment with the person that has seen your person, and not just seen them, but, your person. You know what I'm saying? So you say y'all gonna sneak in. You might just catch them in the laundry room. You might just catch them, tiptoed from the party.
And see this the thing. And I guess because, like I said, for me, I've been in that position so many times. I remember one of my exes, and I don't think they
said maturity.
I don't think any. Yeah, I agree. It's totally maturity. I don't think any of them would mind me saying this. I'm not going to say any names anyway, but I remember one of my exes.
One of my exes
that I had, huh?
I said one of them. Y'all, Chris is a playboy.
Whatever. I'll admit to that. But one of my exes that I had, we kind of grew up in the same area, or whatever the case was. So one of my close friends, him and her were each other's first everything. They had history, right? And so I remember when me and her started talking, and when me and her started talking, he, I think, reached out to her and told her whatever, right? So I remember her telling me, she was like, yeah, he reached out, because he didn't talk to me, he hit her up. And so when he hit her up, and he was like, oh man, this real? Y'all tell whatever. She was like, yeah, he was like, well, look, hey man, good luck with y'all, man. I wish y'all the best. And so I didn't talk to him until I seen him in person. And when I seen him in person, it was all love. It was all good. Wasn't no nothing, right? And we went on. All of us he would come by the house all the time. All that. So I remember we had a big party. When we had bought a house, we had a big party. And at the housewarming party, I remember his BM. They was together at the time. And so me and her, and it's the party big, because me and her, we was popular pretty much. We threw parties. The party huge. It's a bunch of people. It's lit up. Everybody lit. It's lit. And so I remember the BM, she was sitting there, she was pregnant. And I remember I went over there and I seen her. I just sat by and I said, how does it feel to be at your current boyfriend's ex-girlfriend house? She was like, oh my God, this is the weirdest thing. Like, she started going off about how crazy it is, how weird it is, how ridiculous it is, or whatever, right? And I just laughing. I'm laughing, right? And I remember us talking. And after we talked for about 30 minutes. Since then, they've broken up. Me and her have broken up out. But you know that she and that girl are still friends to this day?
The BM and the ex?
They friends We all friends. Everybody, we all follow each other. They might be on here. They might comment on here because they know exactly who I'm talking about. Anybody close would know of who I'm talking about. All of us still cool. We comment on each other, kids, birthday posts, happy birthday, oh, you look great, anniversaries, all of that. Like, to me, why does that have anything to do with what we have going on right now? I remember saying this to one girl that was deeply involved in the church. Look, Kenny laughing because he knows what I'm talking about. I remember we was deeply involved in the church. And I made the comment and I said, you know what? I know you like me. Let's just say I know you like me, right? But what if God called me to marry your sister? I'm just asking.
Okay.
I'm just asking. Would you be able, if we trust God, right?
Yeah.
We love God. Ain't no safer place to be than in God's will.
You evil.
That ain't evil. What if I was with a woman, but then later on, God really called her to be with one of my close partners?
Or your brother.
Oh, my brother.
Ooh, that's nasty.
But I mean, my thing is though, because even biblically this stuff happened. Israel married two sisters. Jacob married two sisters. So all I'm saying is we talk that talk, but really most of the time, what we do and how we do is really rooted in our egos and our pride and in our desires.
I agree.
And that's the reason why it's really hard for us to hear from God. And I'm guilty of it as well. I'm talking about it on one end. But I'm just saying, what if? Because, yes, well, I'm speaking hypothetically, but this stuff happens. This is real. It not only happens,
that's that high level
it
of
happens
detachment.
in real life.
Yeah. You have to have a high level of detachment. Like, I don't know that I'm, you know what I'm saying? Like, I can't
but why
say I
can't
don't
we
know that
move forward, though? I don't understand why we can't move on.
Okay,
like,
so let me, okay. I'm not saying that I can't, I'm okay. I've been in this situation before in a sense that I was with somebody and I knew the people that they proclaimed were friends and we all became friends. They had something with, in a sense, even if it was only sex, you know? And so, and that never disturbed our relationship and never caused us any, you know what I mean? It never, ever, never brought it up. And to be honest with you, like if it had ever come up, it was a joke. Like, oh, that was in high school, blah, 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 blah. It was no big deal. But you know, there's something to that, you know, I don't know that I would ever really want to have that situation again, though. You know what I mean? Like,
have it. Nobody wants it. I don't want it to happen.
I can't say that I'm signing up for that. You know,
I'm signing up for it either. I don't want my wife to have slept with one of my close partners or friends or whatever the case is. All I'm saying is, what if it is and has happened? Why does that detour us and bother us so much?
It's ego. It is. I mean, and obviously because it in some way, even if it is only imaginative, it seems as if it's posing a threat, right? Like, because in my mind, I'm thinking, say this person is super, super attractive or whatever the case may be. Like, are you thinking about when you see her? Are you reminiscing about when?
I know what you mean. I know exactly where you're going.
Is that what you're thinking? She said, pray all together, move forward. And you know, Letitia, I'm just so glad that that's not my reality right now, but I'm just speaking about the trust issues.
But I know exactly what you're saying.
Issue.
I feel you, but the thing is, like you said, it's ego, is insecurities. But all I'm saying is, when those type of conversations kind of come up, those type of things happen, and our insecurities get, you know, all of a sudden we go from these tongue talking, spirit filled, on fire for God, to all of a sudden
we're human.
And the thing is, why can't we always admit that we're human, even when mistakes happen? And I'm just saying, and I'm only saying that because, like, when I sit and I think about my group of friends and my people that I deal with, like, we've never had none of those type issues. Somebody sleeping with somebody's wife, or girlfriend or whatever the case is. But it don't mean that it hasn't happened in the past before them two got together.
Right.
And so, like you said, it's small time issues. These are small town things, but at the same time, Houston is a big city. Most of the time, and people in the Houston city, they deal with these same type issues. They just don't deal with them the same way. They just completely go opposite, because it's tough. It's tough, but it's tight. And the thing is, when people cross paths, it's like, why does it cause so much ripple? But honestly, because of our egos and our pride, like everybody keeps saying. And it's like,
I mean,
but then yet we
isn't there such thing as girl code though? Okay, let's kind of flip it. Let's flip it.
Let's go.
Girl code.
Because
so I'm also from a small town, right?
Okay.
I mean, I'm from Corpus Christi, Texas. It's small.
Okay.
Salina Cantanilla, okay?
Okay.
And so fact of the matter is, I'm not just from Corpus. I'm from a very small side of Corpus, the north side to be exact.
Okay.
And I would be a liar if I didn't say we've all at least had one of the same boyfriends. You know what I'm saying? Two, three, four. You understand? Because like you said, it's a small town situation. But in that, even when I go back into my memory, okay, in my Rolodex, I recall feeling some kind of way when my best friend went and was with the man or the boy that I was with. You know, like, you knew he was coming to your house to see me, and now you with him? Like, that just doesn't make sense. And or I move off to Houston, and now I hear y'all together. Like, so what, y'all was waiting till I left? What's the girl code? You know, it's like those kind of situations.
So let me ask this then. So let's say you married. You and your guy been together for, let's say, 6 years. Let's just say 6 years. And his friend, his partner started dating one of his ex-girlfriends.
His what? His partner.
His friend started dating one of his
ex-girlfriends.
He fell out with that friend. He cut him off. Like, he go off.
I would think, like, why do you care?
Exactly. So the only time for me,
but that doesn't mean that I'm not necessarily discerning that she got issues. You know what I'm saying?
No,
like,
no, I know, but I'm saying,
with being with
me,
the homie?
This whole code thing or whatever the case is, we talking about matters of the heart. We talking about matters of the heart. So even if it's opposite, if I'm with a woman and I see you upset with one of your girlfriends because she dated one of your ex-dudes, and you upset, I'm looking at that nigga, why?
I understand. I get I got it.
What you feeling some type of way for?
You missing them. You missing them?
That's what it sounds like to me. So I'm just saying, that's what it sounds like to me. Like, I'm like, what you mean? Like, you, like, what?
Tell it on yourself.
So, yeah, we got a whole problem. We got a whole issue. We got a whole problem. Ain't nobody sleeping tonight. Because I'm finna find out. Like, what? Like, I hear you in the other room, and you talking with your other girl. Can you believe she talking with such, like, what? Man, come on, man. You ain't sleeping tonight. So my thing is, with stuff like that, why can't we just, like, listen, we all adult, stuff happen, people run across each other. Just because he wasn't for you don't mean that he might not be for your friend. Like, why does it, why does that bother us so much?
I guess it's because, in a sense, it makes you think, like, were y'all plotting while we were together?
Like,
you know, when did this fire start burning in your heart for this person?
It started burning when you wasn't here no more.
But do we know that?
Yes, but even if we don't know, why does it matter?
Oh, because it hurts our ego.
Yes, exactly.
Because how was you with me thinking about her?
Yeah, I thought she was fine when you was with her. So what? Yes, look, all my partners' wives are fine. Sorry, like I said, hey, look, if all y'all watching, yes, all my friends' wives are fine. It don't mean I'm sitting and thinking about wanting to sleep with one of or wanting the man, waiting for him to break up so I can slide in. No, that's not the case. That's not the case. But for whatever reason, why do our minds automatically go there to where we think that these people, what, they set you up to breakups just so they can slide in? Man, come on, man. If that's the case, yeah, you're right. You never know. But like, to me, all of that, it goes back to the fact that, in all honesty,
swipe or no swipe.
In all honesty, I don't think it's the fact that, like I said, I don't think we can trust ourselves, really.
That's the truth.
And I think, in all honesty, because we kind of assume everybody to have, any little thing that we don't like or whatever the case is, we automatically demonize it. And we have these trust issues because we claim to be hearing from God. We claim to be, we trust in God. We trust in all of that. But then when God really put us to those type tests, we fail every time, but we justify our failures with our cultural mindset of how we view things.
I mean, romantic stuff, and I'm not, again, I'm speaking culturally. Yeah. I am speaking to, we're talking about assignment, preach, right?
Yeah.
If we're talking about assignment, I do feel like you want to have this, say, sacredness. I do, at least. I don't know about anybody else, but I know that whenever I come across my person, I know that they've had people before me. You get what I'm saying? And same vice versa. But I do want to have this feeling of sacredness with my person. Like, it would suck to walk in a room and know that every woman in the room has had him. It's like, oh, you're a whore.
Well, look.
You're a whore.
Look, can I tell you something? That's unfortunate. That's unfortunate because that has happened to me, and sometimes it still does. And even though I'm delivered from my past, but it happens. But this is the thing with women, and y'all know this. Just think about high school.
You say, well, don't marry none of my partners, Kenny.
That's my best friend. We know, like that. We are accustomed to that. But this is the thing, though. If women are honest with themselves, if y'all are truly honest, if you take 10 guys, 10 women, you put them in a room with one another, 10 women gonna fight over 3 guys. It's just what it is. 10 women are gonna fight over the 3 guys. And what's gonna happen is the 3 at the bottom of those 3 women out of those 10, they'll settle for one of the other 3 because them other 4 just gonna miss out. But that other 7, they'll be the side chick of one of those 3 guys.
Because we feel like it's this shortage of men, and so women are literally just happy to get just a piece of a man.
It's a men's shortage, but at the same time, women don't want nothing that other women don't want.
But it's not that women don't want what other women don't want. It's, do I want what everybody else can have?
Yeah, but how can a man? And this is speaking from an ex-whore, real live ex-whore.
I played that I was once a whore.
That I was. How could a man women knew how I didn't lie about nothing. Never did.
Never needed to.
What is that? Can
have that they can have that they have access.
Yeah,
they can still have that.
Yeah, I see what you're saying, but he's saying can have or have had. So pretty much, is this past tense or is this current sense that's your issue?
Do they have access?
Is it based off of what has happened or based off of what you think is happening right now?
Do they have access?
Right. Well, then that's different. Yeah, that's different. So, but speaking from an ex-whore's perspective, there's a reason why most men, how are they able to stay whores? One of the main things that brought women to me, it wasn't just because of my aesthetics and the way that I look. I wasn't the only good-looking guy. It was many more guys that were better looking than I was. But what separated me from other guys was, all honesty, was the other women. Women don't realize, nothing attract women like women.
Well, we talked about this last week. Remember we were talking, yeah.
Women attract other
They
women.
want you.
It's just what
just
it
because
is.
somebody else wants you.
So,
That's why Jarquez says, were you talking about were you talking about his meat for them to then hop on it once you left? And the answer is no, but that was also small town meat. You know what I'm saying? So whether she heard it from me, she heard it from somebody else.
my point is with all of this, our trust issues that we have is typically because our desires blur our ear to be able to really hear. It just do. And so, we start making faulty assumptions based off of what has happened versus what is going on. And so now, even with this conversation that we sitting and we talking about as far as having friends or dealing with ex people that you have used to, and to me, because when I sit and I see any of my exes, I see any of the people that I used to deal with, even now as a single man, it's a lot of them. I feel like if I put enough pressure on, if I really wanted to go back down that road, I possibly could. I do feel that way. Not the ones that's married or anything like that. I'm talking about like other ones that are still single or whatever the case is. But what I'm saying is, with that being said, my desire is to please God first. And that's why the only thing that you can trust about me is my desire to be one with God. So if you with someone that does not have a real relationship with God, then I can slightly understand.
That they're
really
unfaithful.
can. I really can. Because like I tell people, you can't just turn off being a hoe and then when you get married. No. That don't work like that. People feel like a ring fixes your lustful desires and your lustful heart and your lustful mindset. No. You have to start preparing yourself even before you get there.
Which is the whole wife before marriage.
That's why I was telling you, you keep hearing that because God is trying to water something in you. It ain't got nothing to do with this podcast and you talking about relationships. This is just all part of it. This is just part of the journey. Yeah. Even you being a wife is just part of the journey.
You're right.
All of it is just part of the journey because the real wife and the real bride that we are called to be is to be one with him.
I agree.
That's number one. And if we are one with him, there's no safer place to be. Greater is he that's in me than anything that's in the world. So we can overcome it. When the Holy Spirit comes into us, it gives us the power to be able to resist. And it says, if you're able to resist the devil, he shall flee from you. That is how you get that. People say, get thee behind me. The way to cause Satan to get up and run is just resist. It don't mean you don't have to want it. Just resist the desire. Resist the acting on it. And he has to flee. That's why I say he goes to and fro seeking whom he may desire, whom he may devour. Because who can he devour? The ones that are connected, that are willing through their desires. So like I said, man, look, I got friends. I got female friends. I got male friends. I got all of it. My mom came to see
the real Pipe come out today. This is Pipe, y'all. This ain't preach. This is Pipe. I met Pipe today, y'all.
That's old school. Oh, it's behind me. But my mama came to my what it is. He uses our desires. So you're right.
Before we hop off too, I want to address. He had a question, and I think that
Okay, but I want to say this. My mom came to my best friend's house to his daughter's first birthday Sunday, and all of my friends was there, all the wives, all the sister wives, the girlfriends, and everybody was there. And this is her first time kind of being around, even though she's been knowing me and my best friend forever, but she don't come to gatherings and parties and stuff like that. And so she came, and so she was just sitting, and afterwards she was like, Chris, it's gonna be real hard for any woman that you deal with and choose to come into that. She said, because y'all are really close. She was like, all of y'all, you and your friends' moms, your aunties, all of the women, all of the kids. She was like, y'all really have a community. Y'all have a close knit that y'all ain't blood related to one another. was like, it's gonna be hard for any woman to see that and not feel some type of way, especially when she started hearing the backstories and this, that, and the third. And I was like, I agree. It probably will be, but at the same time, I'm looking like, why? Like, how can you look at this and be intimidated to the point to where you think it got to be something going on somewhere, somebody doing this, somebody doing that. And even if that is going on, why don't we have a mind to pray for them?
And or maybe what your mother was saying is like that there's room for them there. Like I made a post today where I said that basically God will leave space in our lives for others to feel us so we can understand that we can't do it alone, right? Like whatever the mission is, it's going to take a village. And so when you said that, that's what I heard is your mother was saying, like, there's no space. So she may come in, a woman may come in and feel like there's no space for her there because everything may seem provided already. Like, well, what is there? There doesn't seem to be need for me. And I'm just telling you what I heard.
I got you.
Said that.
And I feel that, but my thing is, why do women validation have to be connected to them being needed?
So now I question for you. You don't feel validated when you're needed?
No, I'm gonna be honest, because what if I can't fulfill the need?
It doesn't necessarily mean that you don't feel some level of validation that they needed you.
Yeah, I got you, but this is what happens. But then when I'm not able to do so, then because see, this is the thing. I'm not here to fulfill no need in no woman's life. That's what I'm here to lead her to the person that fulfills needs. And that's the God.
So then my question is,
I prefer to be wanted than I do to be needed.
I wholeheartedly agree with that. But I'm also saying to add to that is in any relationship, there is going to be interdependence. There's going to be a need. It's like, okay, and this is what another part of what we was fighting about, okay? Because I've shared before with you personally, like one of the reasons why it was easy for me to leave my ex-husband is because I felt like I don't need you. I felt like I could do everything for myself. You know what I'm saying? But quite honestly, all I need, excuse me?
That's an ego problem.
Whatever. So talking to yourself. So in saying that, God was revealing to me, like, see, this is what I mean when I say that I'm leaving space for you in your life for someone else to come in and fill it, because the idea that you've sat and you know what pride looks like, that's pride, okay? For you to feel as if I don't need anybody else when God put us all here for a relationship. And in some way, it feeds his order and system, or system and order. It feeds that. Even when he was speaking to me about the whole idea of being a wife, that was a part of that. Like, you want this man, right? Or you want this husband, because I don't necessarily want a man. I want a husband. He's like, you want this husband, and you've already had a husband before, and what was one of the reasons why? And that's where that came from. You know, well, I felt like I could do it by myself. You know, he's like, oh, exactly. So there are going to be things where I may pierce you in your side. You may have a thorn in your side. I'm going to make you need, in a sense, to where only this man can fulfill that, because it's interdependence. There's nothing wrong with two people coming together to fulfill a need. And that's God ordained. I feel like that was one of the messages that God gave me during the fast, was because that was something I was struggling with. Like, we think we have this idea. I did. I won't speak for you. I had this idea, and I have this idea, and God just, maybe this is a part of that pouring into me, where I feel like I have to have everything together before I actually receive this husband. I'm just being honest. I feel like, you know, I got to have all these things checked off in order for me to be ready. And God was telling me, this was this conversation. You think you're supposed to be perfect. That's not what you would need your pride. You would feel as if you have everything you need. So there wouldn't necessarily be desire. So I'm putting you in a space to where you understand why you have this thorn in your side, why you understand that you do need, why you understand why relationships are important, because if not, what you would do is isolate yourself. You would feel as if I could do this all by myself, and that leads to pride. So I'm not saying there's, I don't want somebody to want me, or that I used to feel like I don't want to be needed. And now I kind of understand that. And it's just coming off the fast. Okay. This is fresh revelation. Okay. But he's revealed to me like, no, I need you to know that you need.
So I heard you, when I heard you say earlier, you said for us to come together to fulfill a need. I agree wholeheartedly with that. But I don't have to come together with you to fulfill my needs, because the Bible says he will fulfill all of my needs.
But what if he's using the vessel to fulfill?
And so now that's right. But at the same time, that's what you are a vessel for him to fulfill all my needs. So I am in agreement with that. But you being a vessel to fulfill all my needs means that you're something that he's using that he can also replace.
I mean, absolutely.
Absolutely. So all I'm saying is, there's always going to be space. So like you said, with this space that you have I brought you to, right? And it looks like, man, where do I fit in? Because everything is covered, right? That's the way. That's the way that we're looking at it. Because all the
you and your friends.
You and my friend, everything is covered. Like, man, she do this, they do this, they do. Like, what do I? And my thing is, that's where you take the time out to not only get closer with God, but get closer with whoever it is that God has brought you to, because whatever need y'all are called to, him and his friends can't fulfill.
I mean, I agree.
So therefore, the need, I don't need you from an aspect that I cannot survive or thrive without you. That's what I'm not saying that. No, God called us together to fulfill a need, like you said. And whatever that need is, me and my friends won't be able to fulfill, but we will not be able to come together with that assignment if you sitting and looking at what needs that they are. Pow. If you sitting and looking at what needs they are, that's already covered. Because I want to be able to do that.
Kenny, come get your friend. Come get your friend, Kenny. Kenny, come get your friend.
I'm just saying, now you're coveting and jealous of my friend wife that can cook the best gumbo around, because now you feel like, well, I'm supposed to have the best gumbo because I'm your wife. You ain't supposed to like her cooking more than you like mine. Like, what?
Now that's childish.
So, but
I get you.
The thing is, we have, like she said, God finds, we have to find purpose. And purpose is the need that God has called us to come together to fulfill. But if you sitting and focusing on everything else, that's why women get jealous of mama, and mamas get jealous of the new wives and all that, because everybody feel like somebody coming to replace them.
That is so true.
Like and it's all rooted in pride and selfishness. Get out. We cannot get full of the Spirit because we're full of ourselves.
We don't want to share.
We get over yourself, because the thing is, the reason why we try to create we try to create an atmosphere of need, and we try to create that because we feel like when somebody needs you, they will not leave you.
And that is the reason why we've talked about that.
That is the reason why we do that. And we do that because now I want you to be a slave to me and not a slave to God.
Yeah, no,
because
I don't want anything
the slave is going to be dependent upon his master. So it's really a God complex, and all of us deal with it and suffer in different aspects, right? All of us do. And it's like, and so for me, I'm looking around, I'm like, man, like, what's wrong with you just wanting to be, what's wrong with me wanting you here? Why do you have to feel like you have to, like this can't go if you ain't here? Like that's ego. And literally so many, not just, I only deal with women, so I don't deal with men, but so many women that I've talked with, that is typically my mom. Like I said, my mom said it, and I understand because she's looking at it from a woman's perspective. And I'm like, why does that bother you so much?
Women are nurturers, so you got to think about that.
So nurture.
That's where it comes from. Like we're meant to nurture environments. We're meant to nurture people. We're meant to nurture. And even when it comes down to, like, you think about mothers in a sense, right? Like that whole idea of sharing. And this is, y'all been here, whatever. I have two, and they a little grown now, but I have two boys. They're 17 and 15, and they live with their father. And just the idea of me letting them go to God had to work on your girl, because as a mother, one of the things I didn't realize, and God also brought that to my attention, was that I was too focused on my desire to be needed. This is the reason why I can see it and call it out in someone else, is because I've also been afflicted by the same demon myself. So ladies, I'm with you. Okay. But he was showing me that was narcissism, in the sense that it's manipulation and control. And it's this idea that you don't want you don't want them to be needed or wanted by someone else. And you don't even realize it, because you want to be their end all be all. So when they do go on to have relationships with other people and build village and all these other things, then you feel as if you're on the outside looking in. You feel like there's no space for you. You feel, and this is, again, I'm speaking from experience. I'm telling you guys what I know, not what I think. Okay. And so God had to take me through that series during the wilderness season for me to see that demon was inside of me as well, and how we do strive on the desire to be needed, and just how manipulative that is. And so that's where detachment comes into play, and detaching is not easy. And so even when you were saying earlier about being wanted versus needed, that was something that, like, that started to become my motto, right? Like, I'd rather be wanted, because at least I know that I'm valued there and I'm not being tolerated. Because most times when people need you, they'll tolerate you just so they can have your hand. That doesn't necessarily mean that you got their heart. Come on now. That doesn't necessarily mean that. And so they'll keep you around just because you're feeding that demon. You know what I'm saying? And so that's another reason why the empaths and the narcissists kind of work together, because empaths have this natural anticipation. They can anticipate the needs of others. And so in that, they'll because they want to be needed, because they want to keep you around, they'll start to do things and give things even without you asking, because they feel it solidifies their place in your life.
That's why all them serial killers getting all them letters from all them weird women, all them empathetic women that are empaths, that feel this and feel they want to do this, and they get all them love letters from all them narcissistic serial killers, sending to them or whatever, and they sitting there like little. If you go watch some of them old things, all them women sitting around, I forgot that one guy's name. They sitting around him like little, what? Like, it's ridiculous, but yeah. Exactly what you said.
It's narcissism, because at that point you're blinded by what they're feeding in you, right? Like they're feeding a demon.
It's a host. It's a host and a leech. Like, like it's a
great
and it's latched on to you, or whatever the case is, and it's just gonna suck you dry. And then once it drains you, it's gonna move on to find another, because you are just another
vessel
in their little play. That's all it is. And so, but that's why like I be like, man, like, a lot of this stuff that the mindsets that people have, that we have to latch on, because, like, I think he just mentioned vampires. I remember doing a Bible study about vampires and about how they latch on to their hosts. They latch on until they suck you dry. But one thing that's crazy about them, when they look in the mirror, they don't see anything. They have no reflection.
No, they lack self-awareness.
They lack the image of God. And because the true image of God, like he said, the Son of Man did not come to be served. The Son of Man came to serve. But yet we look at it as I have to be served to feel like I'm being loved. And if I have no place around here to do something to you or
I'm not
for
valuable.
you to where you feel like you have to serve, that you need to serve to get whatever it is, that's why men use their wallets, women use their body.
Yep.
Because most of the time, most men are celebrated because of how much money, power, or influence that they have. Well, money, because that gives them their power and influence. What gives a woman power and influence? Vagina.
That P, yeah.
So
Amen.
that is why when you have no control with those particular things, just like a man, when he dealing with a woman that don't care nothing about his money, most of the time they don't know what to do next.
Yeah.
They lost. They don't know how to maneuver or move, or whatever the case is, right? A good man, not talking about like a leeching man. I'm talking about a good man that's looking to
a high value man.
Well, yeah, an actual high value, not what they call a high value man, but someone that's looking to build, right? And then the same thing with a woman. As soon as she ain't got no P control over you, she don't know what to do. When you can't threaten him with no sex or something like that, you lost. Like it's like a dead headlights. Like you don't know what to. You start getting super manipulative then. So all of these things is really rooted in our pride and our ego and in our unwillingness to truly trust in God. Because in all honesty, it's hard for us to trust. We're going to always be suspicious of anything that we don't understand. And most of us don't truly understand God. We understand church. Mm-hmm. Most of us know how to go to church. Most of us understand tradition. Most of us understand culture, which, like my brother said earlier, the root word of it is cult, right, of culture. So we understand norms, but we really don't understand God. And God said it is really not meant for us to fully understand it because his ways is not our ways, his thoughts is not our thoughts. But it says he rewards those that diligently seek him. So understanding him is seeking him, and then that peace, that who is the God of peace, will comes in your life, and it gives you that peace that surpasses all understanding.
And the comforter, quite honestly, will also add to your truth, whatever you are seeking.
It adds, and not just your truth, but the truth.
And that's what I mean when I and correct me. Thank you for that. Saying,
but I'm just saying the truth. And so
thank you for the correction.
But we get so caught off into our ego and our pride, it's hard for us to do so. So when all these little situations come up, when we feel like he might desire something, because that's what it really is, right? If he's been with her or if she's been with him before, you're afraid that he still desires.
He has porn brain. What if he has porn brain?
Do what?
What if he has porn brain? You know what I'm saying? Like it's when I say point, like he has a Rolodex of memories.
Oh, well, I mean, but that's gonna happen. But at the same time, every memory that someone gets,
necessarily entertain.
You go. So if you're controlled by every thought that you have, then you need to go to the altar. Before you marry that man, you need to make sure every thought that comes to his mind, you know what I mean, thoughts go to anybody's, yours, mine, whoever, I don't care. The Holy Dalama of the Mother Mary, all of them had crazy thoughts. So every single thought that you do, my partner, daddy told me he had to quit listening to the blues because he said whenever he couldn't listen to it like that because for whatever reason, he started following the music. And I'm looking like, man, for real? Like, okay, well then, because for me, I can listen to anything. Listening to that whatever is not gonna make me want to go and shoot up no high school or chase no women or nothing like that. But you have to know who you are. And how do you know who you are? By getting closer with God. Right. So I'm just saying, for me, I've always valued friendships. I've always valued relationships. So anybody that I would hope, but of course they didn't. I got accused of it before. But not by somebody I was with, always by other outside parties, but anybody would think or would hope, like, I'm not gonna, being with a woman and let's say sleeping with her best friend, like, how do I even think I'm like, how do I feel like this is gonna end? It ain't no way that this is gonna end in any type of a positive manner unless I'm ready to leave this woman for her best friend. Right.
And even that's not positive.
And even that is gonna be, that's gonna be hell.
You reaping.
So for me to, just because this is an ex situation and they around, then I'm still trying to sneak into the back closet. And like, what? Like, I mean, to me, stuff like that is childish to me. It's immature in a lot of ways. And I understand that, but that's because we put so much power in a lot of these carnal things and a lot of these unnecessary temporary stuff. Like, man, look, I remember telling one of my best friends, him and my ex-girlfriend, one of my ex-girlfriends from college, they were very, very close.
I love it when Chris says one of my ex-girlfriends.
Because I've had a lot, but they had got really close. And nothing happened with them or anything like that. But I told him, I was like, bro, like, if it did, don't be because of me. Because I've moved on. Like, I've moved on. Like, and of course he was like, oh, and I feel him, I get it. But I'm just saying, like, because, man, look, any woman from my past, whatever has happened, it happened. If you marry one of my best friends or one of my brothers, man, look, that is my sister now. I don't even see her like that no more. Like, and to me, that's true friendship, because my friendship with him is way more important. And it should be, at least, right? And then even on top of that, now my relationship with God is even more so important than that.
Right.
So, like, that's why I believe the Bible said, put no trust in no man but God. I only trust the God in people. And your faith. They say that he that's faithful over few, I'll make you ruler over many. But most of us ain't faithful over the few things because we want to automatically be in control of the many things. And I believe that's why you keep hearing that same message over and over and over again. Not saying that you're trying to be ruler over men. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that God is embedding something in you to not just because of what he has for you in the future, but what he has deposited into you for the now. As far as your voice, as far as how you carry, to remind you that right now, this is just a season. Being single is just a season. But you are my daughter. You are my bride, and you're also someone else's bride. So I want to keep reminding you of that, just in case, because while I have to remind you of that, because there's also just as many TikTok videos and Instagram videos that telling you, girl, this is about to be a hot boy, hot girl spring coming up, bring the sun. It's about the time to start popping the ticket.
I mean, and we get, for speaking for myself, which is why I say God knows his child, because I'll get hyper independent. That's the reason why I say that he keeps telling me, like, you have a thorn in your side for a reason, because I know my daughter. Right. And I know that you'll be hyper independent. Yeah. And I know that you'll be quick to say, like, I don't necessarily need this. So yeah, I feel like that's one of the main reasons why that's what I got after the fast. So I'll just put it that way, because I was struggling with it. I'm not gonna lie. And he did confirm to me, just again, about the service aspect of it. Like, this has nothing to do with, it has little to do, I won't say this has nothing to do, but this has little to do with me personally, and everything to do with the people that I'm meant to serve. And also the aspect about, he qualifies the called. It's not about that external validation and such. But yeah, thanks for that encouragement, because it's kind of hard sometimes.
What was
talking about relationships?
What was that question that you said you wanted to go back to?
So Jarquez is in the and I don't even know if I'll be saying your name right, bro, and I need you to correct me, because I am very big on names are important. So if I'm not saying that right, correct me, please. But he had a question the other day surrounding God, and I want to go to the question, and I don't want to say it wrong, so this is the reason why I'm trying to get it verbatim.
We staying on tonight?
Well, we finna get off after we have this conversation. Well, this you answer. One. I'd prefer that. Yeah. I'd like to hear what you have to say.
All right.
Hold on. Oh, I don't remember my password on the Mac. I don't know if I can go out and then it not like mess
No,
up.
it's definitely gonna
I
it's
don't.
gonna disappear. You didn't write. You know, what was the question even about?
It was surrounding. How did he say it? He was like, it was on the post about Adam and Eve, and I said that they had lost trust. I said Adam and Eve lost trust. They couldn't obey what they didn't trust, right? And so that started the whole dialogue. And Jarquez said, well, Jarquez, thank you. Jarquez said, why would God put his children in the snake's view to be tested, right? He said, why would God send the snake knowing they would fail the test, right? And so I have my own theory, but I still was recommending that he seek God, you know. But
I don't believe God sent that snake.
What I said was that God allowed it. And I just gave him a narrative surrounding parenting, like that's a totally different thing. Like once I told him a little story about my own parenting situation, how God taught me unconditional love through my relationship with my father, and just understanding like you can tell somebody something as a parent. We want to shield our children from the wickedness of the world, but quite naturally they have to learn for themselves, because we'll enable them trying to shield them, and it still doesn't mean they're going to listen. So he was like, yeah, I get all that, but why would God, being an all-knowing God, know that they would be defeated by Satan and still put his children in that predicament?
I don't think I think that it was a test, just like with Job. If that's the case, then why did he do that with Job, right? Because I believe that he tested them in hopes of them not. God definitely knows all, but just because you know doesn't mean that he controls, you know.
Which is what I said. I said free will.
And so with that, yeah, the snake that was there, he said he knew he would pass, like he knew Job would pass, like he knew they would fail. Right. But I believe at the same time, what if, you know, it's always a what if factor, you know, because he doesn't make anyone do anything.
We have free will.
And we have free will. I mean, it's a great question. No,
so your theory is Job.
Well, my theory is he wanted them to choose him, and they failed to do so. And that's because if that's the case, why would he even put the tree there? You know. So all of it was in hopes that they would choose him, because that darkness that was upon the earth, that snake was already here. Come
on, preach. You getting in it.
The darkness, because it said that the earth was without void, and I believe that when they was cast down, it was cast upon earth. And so he gave man power and dominion over the earth, but then we gave it back to Satan when we disobeyed God. And so that's why Christ had to come back to where now, once the Holy Spirit comes into you, that is what gives you the power and the authority to have dominion over the wiles and any, because really the only power that Satan really has is influence. He doesn't have the power to create anything. He only has influence to turn something that God has created and perverted into something for his own purpose and his own will. That's the only power he has. He doesn't have any power.
He said, but why is Satan even in the picture when God knew he would cross his children? I want to add. Can I add?
Yeah, go ahead.
So I feel, and again, take everything I'm saying back to God, because I'm not all knowing, you understand, but I know somebody who is, right. All right, that Holy Spirit. Okay. But this is what I think. I personally believe that God wanted to see if he had made the same thing twice. And what I mean by that is, we already know that Lucifer was prideful and he boasts himself, knowing that he could, or feeling as if he could come against God, that he could take God's place. And so in putting that tree there, that was really an opportunity for God to see if he created the same thing twice. And so for Satan to come, as he used the word sent, he said he's very distinct in the word sent. I feel like allowed, but sent is, hey, whatever. He said sent them there to test them, which is what I said too about free will. Well, that is where free will comes into place, but that was also an opportunity for God to put into place system and order and humility, so we would understand true source and where our source comes from, because even Satan obviously still has that hierarchy. I think I said that right. Hierarchy. Right? Yes. He knows that he can't overcome God, but through us, if he could get us to, be perverted and all that other, however you want to see it, like, I just felt like that would have fueled the engine even more. And so that was just my way of seeing it.
It's not for him to see, it's for us to see. So
it's not for him
being, oh no, it's for us to see. See, using Job, that Job went through increased his faith.
He said, what he need to see for, if
he
is all knowing, that would be pointless.
That is for Job to see. What God is doing, he's trying to empower and encourage us. And
okay, are you saying, is he saying what he needs to, what he needs
to
see
do God need, right?
But
that's what
I'm saying, even for the Adam and Eve, when I said he wanted to see if he created the same thing twice. Do that again. Now take it. You need to go back. You need to talk to Daddy, because at the end of the day, these are questions for Daddy. But just, kind of brainstorming with you, I think about the fact that, do you think that God thought that Lucifer, you get what I'm, the perfectest thing, that's the, you know what I'm saying? So even when God made Adam and he took from his rib, that to me, that was also that thorn in his side. It was to let him know, you'll need me. Even if it was the woman that, he created, in a sense, it was still a thorn in his side. It reminds me of when Jacob was wrestling with the angel and he said, I won't let you go until you bless me. Right. And so even then, like, in order for him to be blessed, he had to be humbled. God had to hit that boy in the side. So when ain't me need to, when ain't no need to ponder. Hey man, take it to Daddy. I'm gonna send you back to the maker. But I thought that Chris might have something on there, or something to add to that, because I did feel like it was very inquisitive. But I'm also not not self-righteous to say that I know all, because I do feel like that's a pride trait. That's prideful.
For me, I look at it as he's saying ain't nobody, like, I look at it as God is looking to get his glory through us. I believe that with Satan, which was also his creation, that turned against him. And then a lot of us have also turned against, which is why he said he'll turn into a reprobated mind. So I believe there's a lot of moving factors. I was not there to give you full answer to that.
Right.
The only thing that I can give, as far as from my understanding, is that I believe that he wanted us to choose him, and him being all-knowing does not mean that he's all-controlling.
There you go.
So even though he knew that we were going to fail, he also knew that there was going to be a ram in the bush, and that the seed of the woman was going to stomp on that same serpent's head,
right,
which was going to be the seed of Jacob, or seed of Jesse, which is Christ our Lord. So I just believe that God does what he wants when he wants. His thoughts are not our thoughts. His ways are not our ways. He says that he reveals his secrets to his prophets. So I believe the more you seek him, the more that he will reveal to you. I believe one day I will pray about this, and whether it's tomorrow or 30 years from now, I'll wake up with a revelation to this same question. But as of right now, just based off of my understanding, I believe that it was so that he wanted man to choose him. And they failed, but yet they repented. And so in the process of also repenting, we can also move, and because of their failure, we are sitting here and able to learn from their plunder.
Man.
So therefore, it all works together for the good of those who love the Lord according to his purpose and his will.
Amen. Man, thank y'all so much for staying on here with us. This is like the second time we went over an hour. So I appreciate you guys staying on and just kind of chatting with us. I really do. Chris, do you have any final words for us?
All is well.
Did we wear you out tonight?
No, all is well. I enjoyed this topic today. I've been talking about this topic before I gave my life to Christ for a long time, and even now I still look at it no different. I believe that at some point we have to be willing and able to remove ourselves and put our pride to the side. But it's just really hard to do in a lot of spaces and a lot of situations. And because it's uncomfortable, it feels unnatural. It feels like I don't deserve this for whatever reason. This, that, and then of course our minds start to wonder because we start assuming, we start placing certain judgments, we start placing certain things, and we wear ourselves out. That's why the Bible says, whatsoever things are just, whatsoever things are pure, whatsoever things are honest, to think on these things. We magnify temporary issues and make them permanent problems. Yeah. And so
you just have to have a certain level of confidence, and that also goes into the fact that I don't believe that God is going to give you anything you're not ready for, so whether it's your person,
he might, just to show you that you ain't ready.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, hey,
so
you got a lot of maturing to do.
It's all, I use it all as give it to God. What is God trying to reveal and show me about myself, no matter how crazy the situation is, no matter how weird it is? Like, what is God trying to show me about myself? Like, what is it that you need to work on that every time some dude that your girl done had some form of a past with, it just troubles your soul to where you ready to go off the deep end and thinking she's sleeping with everybody that she come around? Or even
I'm
if
sure
you
that's
don't
not
think
true,
she's sleeping
preach,
with him, you think that he's trying to. Every one of them trying to. Like, it's something up with you. So when do we take the time out to check ourselves? Right. And I believe that regardless of what you go through, regardless of what the situation is, what the outcome is, there is a revelation in it all. And you have to have, the Bible said he didn't have ears, let him hear. But oftentimes we're too busy talking and assuming versus listening and hearing from God.
Amen.
And we hear from everything else. We hear from our desires. We hear from our pride, our ego. We hear from what our friends, and what opinions and what we supposed to, what society, I would put up with, culture, and what this and what that. We listen to everything but God. Because somewhere along the line, I don't know how this happened, but God ain't enough for us no more.
I think you say that quite often.
Somewhere along the line, God ain't enough. We need everything else, but he ain't enough. So I think that's what we need to check, and check our trust issues, because we all have them. Check our trust issues, because he's more than enough, and his goodness is running after us.
Yeah. Well, y'all pray for me, okay? Because I ain't saying that I got any trust issues as far as relationships, like romantic relationships, because I'm not in one. But as somebody that is coming back into, say, community, I'm really taking it slow. Okay. So while y'all be thinking just because I'm on social media and I be talking and chat, y'all really think that I'm like super extroverted, and y'all have no idea. I'm really introverted. But I'm learning how to balance those two things. So, I say all that because I do feel like we're building community here, and I can appreciate it. And I want you guys to, I want to be able to be vulnerable with you guys. And so pray for you, girl. All right. Pray for me that I'm able to continue to come out of my shell and do the big things that God is asking me to do, and put my own ways and, say, insecurities to the side. So, again, I appreciate you guys sticking with us tonight, staying on for an hour and a half. And if you will, please share the video. It'll be posted on my YouTube. And also, guys, we have a page, and me and Chris are gonna figure this out, how to like just stream on that one platform. I'm gonna figure it out, and then I'll come back to Chris, because Chris, he's okay. Anyways, I'm gonna figure it out, and then I'll let him know. But the page is Chris Tara Live. All right, and so if you guys will go follow the page and, you know, be friends or whatever, and we'll be posting more notifications there. But outside of that, we'll see you guys next Wednesday. I love you to pieces.
Peace.
Thanks for watching. Be sure to hit that like and subscribe button. See you later. Ciao.